Hi, my name is Kristen Morris, and this is my lesson plan. I have chosen two standards to base this lesson around. The first one is a literacy standard, and it is the student will analyze how complex characters, those with multiple or conflicting motivations, develop over the course of a text, interact with other characters, and advance the plot or develop the theme. The second one comes from under the history heading, specifically sociology, and it is the student will analyze the role of socialization agents in human development, family, school, peer groups, and mass media. So, as for my objectives, I'm going to use the short story The Scarlet Ibis by James Hurst. The student will be able to determine the theme of this text and show how the relationship between Doodle, who is the main character, and his brother, as well as their individual character traits, contributed to that theme. The relationship between these two brothers, their parents, and their community play a major role in who they become as they get older. These relationships also play a role in Doodle's death at the end of the story. So we've got the first standard met by the student finding the theme and showing how the relationships develop to advance that theme. And then we're analyzing the socialization agents by analyzing the relationship between the two brothers and also these two brothers' relationships with their parents, their community, their peers, who they deal with at school, and other family members throughout the story. And in order to evaluate if a student has mastered these objectives, the learner will be required to write a response that includes a thesis statement that includes the theme, and also describes the characters and their relationships with each other in relation to that theme. This will be a formal assessment, and the students will be given a rubric so they know exactly what's expected of them. The reason I have chosen these objectives is because they are part of the Common Core standards for this grade level. The students need to be able to develop a theme and write a response. Also, I've chosen them because they are building blocks that they will need for future objectives and goals. So now we have part 2, student grouping. And grouping my students, when we first come into class, we will have full class instruction. I'm going to be demonstrating what they're going to need to be doing. I'm going to tell them everything they'll need to know, give them their rubric, and then I'm going to let them get into small groups of 4 or 5 to discuss some of the themes and some of the characters. And during these small groups, they'll be able to develop a thesis statement and a theme and all that type of stuff. And these groupings will include a mix of students who are both high achieving and low achieving. And after they are done discussing in these groups for about 10 to 15 minutes, they will come back together for a report back session. We'll kind of talk about what they came up with in their groups. And then after we've talked about it, students have had time to ask questions. They will then write their final draft of their response independently. I've chosen this way to group because it allows students to receive the instruction from me before breaking off into their groups. I'm planning on modeling a satisfactory response as well as one that's not so good. That way they can see what's expected. Also, it allows the students to collaborate with their peers during small group time and then in a full class discussion. And most importantly, these groups allow low achieving students and high achieving students to kind of bounce ideas off each other and learn from each other, and I think that's good. Okay, lastly, we have section 3, the methods and instructional strategies. Some of the methods that I'm planning on using for this lesson are lecture and discussion and small group discussion, report back session, class discussion, demonstration, and brainstorming. And I've chosen all these methods because I feel like they best suit the objective. The kids are learning how to develop a theme, and they're going to need a lot of guidance and collaboration, out loud thinking, and I think that these methods will best help them to be successful.